Today is all about getting started with GoGuardian. This presentation will be recorded, and to get compensated for your time, please click that link and fill out the Google form.
Sorry.
The agenda for today, I'm just going to give a brief overview of what GoGuardian is. There are two parts to it. We're going to be focusing on the teacher aspect, and in that discussion, we are going to set up our classrooms. If you haven't done so already, you're going to learn how to run a session, and then we're going to talk about creating and applying scenes. So those are the three big pieces today. This is recorded, so if you wanted to watch it later on, you can. And again, feel free to stop me at any point in time and ask me to repeat or to show again. I'll be more than happy to do that. Alrighty. So I had mentioned that there are two parts to GoGuardian. One is GoGuardian Admin, and Tech Services deals with that part. All of the secondary school computers, the accounts, are monitored and filtered by GoGuardian, the administration side of it. So anything that is blocked, it's because GoGuardian has been set up to block those sites. Tech Services deals with all of that. We don't have to worry about that, but it's there. Elementary school uses iBoss for their filtering. Secondary uses GoGuardian. So there's that split there. We do have one elementary school, Lagonia, that is also using GoGuardian, but that's the only one. Okay, the other part is GoGuardian Teacher, and that's really what we're going to focus our attention on today. GoGuardian Teacher gives you the ability to direct students to websites, limit their use of searching and going to websites. It allows you to allow certain ones and block others. And it allows you to see what websites they've been on. So it's a handy tool for those reasons. So we are going to go to GoGuardian.com. So you can click on that and sign in. And when prompted, please select your redlandschools.net account. And so you can see by my dashboard that I have several Google Classrooms already connected. Is everyone using Google Classroom? Okay, all right. So, so when you first log in, this is what you see. And I can go to import Google Classroom, that lovely little button right there. And when I click on it, it's going to load all of my classrooms. And so I am going to select one and import it. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, please do that now. And I'm going to repeat that process. I went to the Import Google Classroom button. I clicked on it. It took a little bit of time, but eventually all of my Google Classrooms loaded. And I could select all of them if I wanted to. I don't want to do that. You may want to, though. I'm just going to select one and press import. And there it is. Now, a question is often about syncing. GoGuardian syncs with Google Classroom every night, but let's say you had a new student join your class and you wanted that student to have the effects of GoGuardian that day, and you didn't want to wait a 24-hour period until the two companies did their syncing, you could press this button right here and it will sync students. Any questions so far? Here, I now want to go through the settings. So I can click on settings. Actually, that's not what I want to do. I want to click in here and look at these. So on the left-hand panel, I have three kind of tabs. Okay. The first one is sessions. And I don't have any sessions for this particular class because I just imported it from Google Classroom and there's nothing there. I haven't run a session yet. But with this one, my GoGuardian class, I have several. And you can see that today I was double checking things for my presentation, and I have several sessions that were running on this day. So when you are checking for a specific session, go to sessions and everything will be listed here. And they're only going to populate a certain number, but you can always load more and keep doing that until you find the session that you are looking for. Under students, it's exactly what you would imagine. You have your students here listed, and then you can remove them if you choose to. Teachers, this is really kind of nice. This was not the case when I first started teaching about Google GoGuardian, but you can have a co-teacher. So if you have a paraprofessional in your class, or you co-teach a class, you can add that person as a teacher. You would be the owner, but that person that you add as a teacher can run a session and have all the same capabilities that you as the owner would have. So that's really nice. And to add, you would press that add teacher. And then the settings. So the settings are your classroom name. If you needed to change anything or wanted to update the color, you can do that here. Another option is scheduling. So if you know that you want to use GoGuardian the same day, time every day, you can set up a schedule for that. I think that's kind of hard at the middle level because we have a waterfall schedule, and that might not be a feature that you're interested in, but for high school, that could be. For Mondays, if it was a block schedule every Monday, you could set it up that way. And then right now I have enabled session report emails, which means every time I end a GoGuardian session, I will receive an email. You don't need to, because all the information is under sessions. Like, you'll be able to find it. So if you want, you can toggle that off, but it's there. That's a choice that you can make. Any questions so far? All right. So now I kind of want to get into sessions. I can just jump right in and start a session if I choose to. And then I can adapt it, or I can make some custom end times. So let's make this 5 p.m. Okay, so So that's my custom end time for this. Right now, I don't want to apply a scene. I haven't talked about them. And so when I do talk about scenes, I will apply one at that point in time. And I don't want to exclude any students. There's no reason to at this point. Excluding would mean that they're not listed during the session. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when the session is actually up and running, so you can see what I mean to have that visual along with the description. So I'm going to go ahead and start my session. And you can see I have a student that's not found. I have two that are loading and one that you can see some information. So this person right here, you may be familiar with this name, Caleb Rothy. Teachers, let's put it this way, GoGuardian doesn't capture the screen for a teacher account. So that's why, even though Caleb is a person in our district and has a legitimate Google account with our redlandschools.net domain, he's not found because he's a teacher. So for us to practice, the district created some student accounts for us to practice. So this is my test account. You'll be able to see what's on my screen really soon. And then these two are offline, and that is because they're not signed on. Earlier today, Caleb his computer was open, and he was signed in to his GoGuardian test account, but it said monitoring restricted. And we get that question a lot, like, why does it say it's restricted? The person's in my class, I can see that student, but I can't see the screen of that student. The reason being that that student might have a computer at home that's not a Chromebook, and the student is signed into that computer at home. So he or she may have opened it in the morning, checked something out, but never shut the computer off. And so the computer's open, the account is, active, but because that student is not on a school-issued Chromebook, we can't see what is on that computer screen. So that's what that means. Questions at this point? Okay, there's a lot to talk about here. I'm going to start with this thumbnail. So I'm going to click to expand it. This is a student's My Test account. So I'm going to go to a website. And you're going to see that it changes as the website populates with information. And there's some information here. This is the tab that's active, and then it has the other tabs. So right now I can see that this student has two tabs open, and they are looking at History Channel. I can go to another graphing calculator. Okay. And so it will jump around and change and update in real time. And you can see that what's the big image is the current tab, and then we can see that the smaller tabs are listed below. You may have also noticed when I clicked, there were some other options down here. there's that exclude student again. Let's say that a student had to leave for whatever purposes. You can then remove that student from the session. Maybe a student needed to finish a test in another class, and you let that student go wrap up that quiz for a different class. If you didn't exclude that student and you made some, like you added a scene to your GoGuardian session, a scene can block sites. That student may not have full access to what he or she may need in the other class. So I could exclude my test student. My test student could go to another class, hop on the computer, but not have full access to the internet because of the choices I'm making in my session. Other things I can do is I can open up a new tab and type it in right here. This is the one that I know off the top of my head. Okay. And now Desmos is popping up. I could lock a student's device. And when I press lock, I can type in a little message to your lock screen. And so this is not the exact picture. There's a picture of, it looks like a little raccoon. It says browsing disabled. And this message that I typed in, please return to work, is popped up. But on your screen, it looks like you just have the message that you have locked the student's device. And then click to unlock. So if you really needed to get that person's attention, you can lock that person's device and then ask either to see that student or provide a message. Let's say that you notice that someone was not on the site that they needed to be, and they're on ESPN and fantasy football or some other random site that's not connected to curriculum. You can take a quick screenshot. And that screenshot is saved for evidence. And you can speak to that student. Or if this is happening repeatedly, now you have documentation of times when that student is off track to support a phone call home. I can always close that tab. So I have that capability. If I see a student on a website that he or she is not supposed to be on, I can close it. And there's an option to annotate. This is, I think it's a little misleading. It's really not the ability to annotate, but it can redirect. Oh, all right. So this has happened to me a few times today when I was practicing. Let's try it again. Yeah. So what happens, let me get out of this and try again. Let's say a student was having a hard time locating where they need to be on a certain website. You can click on that student's tile, press annotate, and click their screen. And what would happen is, for me, a blue circle would kind of mark on the student's device, their screen, for about 5 seconds. So if the person's like, I'm not really sure what that login is, where I can't find it, you can click right next to the word login. They'll see a blue circle, and then after 5 or 6 seconds, it will disappear. So you can't draw anything. You can't highlight or underline. You can just place a circle for a few seconds. So it's a little misleading, but it is a way of redirecting and pointing out something for a student. Sorry, I don't know why it's not working. It was working for me earlier today, and then it stopped. So let me change the color. Yeah, I'll try again in a little bit. Okay, so that was a lot. Any questions on the tools down below here? All right, so on student activity, we can see their active tab and then the other tabs that they have. Another tab is the chat. So right now, chat is off, but I could toggle it on and message the student. And send that message. On the student's side, they will see a pop-up with that message. Working. Okay. You can also send an announcement, and only this student will get the announcement. And you can see that there are different colors. Purple for the announcement. And do you see it says accepted? So I actually got a pop-up there, and I hit okay, got it. And now I know that that student has seen my comment. Okay. So over here, this is a bubble that if you click on it, it will open up. And so the student can see the history of chat and actually respond to you. And then resources. This was really cool. I could open my Google Classroom and pull out an activity for an individual student. So let's say this right here is an activity involving a slide deck. I clicked on it, and when I click Open Tab, the tab is opening for this particular student, and you can see it changed to the Book of Kutra Edu protocol, which is just an activity that was hanging out in this particular Google Classroom. So if a student needed a little help finding the activity, you could also help that student via GoGuardian. Let's see. So that was really neat too. If I know it's a material, I can just grab it. So this provides a little bit of filtering aspect right here. Okay. So that's in a nutshell for the tile. How are we doing? All right, thank you. Okay. So the other chat that I want to talk about is up here. So if I click on chat, I can toggle it off and on. And depending on what you need to do, those are options that you have to make. If I wanted to send a chat, I could click the icon, and it will list out all the students. I could send a chat to one person. not getting creative right now. Okay. So I got that message there. Again, it wasn't accepted because something's funky with my account. Or I can send an announcement to everyone. And send the announcement. And everyone has, right here. So now you can see that pop up. Everyone will get that. I can click got it as a student. And then I can go on with what I need to do. Okay, so one way to see what's going on student screens is looking at their screens. Another way is timeline. So you can see it's broken down into minute intervals. And so this whole time here, I was working on, or the Desmos website was up. And then I switched it to the Google slide deck and was working on that. And right now, I'm just on my Google account page. So this is really great. Again, if you have a student that is spending a lot of time on, let's say, ESPN, and if they say, I was only there for a second, but this whole timeline is filled with the ESPN logo, then there's a contradiction in the student's story, because the technology isn't going to lie in this situation. So 405, a new tab. All right, just checking things out. I don't see that it is actually there it is. There's the ESPN right there. So it took a little while, not a ton, but it did take maybe about 30 seconds to acknowledge that updated website. If you have more students online, then all of these, this timeline will be there for all of your students. Questions? All right. Screenshots. So earlier, let's see, okay. So I have taken 2 screenshots. Okay. So I can see, look, this was taken at 4:06 most recently, and then this one was taken at 3:54 p.m. So it is kind of documenting behavior, a pattern, if a student is off task a lot. Okay. So if I want, I can download it onto my computer, and that would go into my files, or I can save it to my drive. And let's do that. I'm trying to, yeah. So this is what pops up when I click Save to Drive. And then it shows that it's downloading. Any questions? All right. And next, present to class. This is all grayed out because it's not available for us right now. Thanks. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do like a mass sending out let's see. I wanted to lock everyone's device, or I wanted to open up a new tab for everyone. I can click. Up here says select students. We can go online. Now, all of the students that are in your class that are online have been selected, and I could lock their device and write a message. You know, sometimes there might be the same question coming from everyone's group. We can lock the device, eyes up front, or I'm going to answer the question, a common question, and then we can stop class, you know, come together as a group, discuss the misconception that's happening, and then go ahead and unlock all the devices. Unlock all the devices and let them continue with their work. So that's something that you can do. Or open up a new tab. This will be for everybody. So I'm going to click the Desmos one. Did that work? I've never done that before. Yep. That's neat. So I'm going to try that one again. Open up a new tab. So these are the recent tabs that people were using. I just selected one of these. Or if you have a new one, let's say it was a YouTube video that you wanted kids to listen on their own, you can drop the URL in here and it will open up for all students. Or again, you can click, oh, that's what I was doing here. Open tab. And then this is going to switch to a video. All righty. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Brandy, what's your question? Oh, okay. New tab. All right. So let's say, this isn't a great example because this isn't how you would give out Kahoot, but I'm going to do this anyway. I have a site. I want all students to go there immediately. I click up here. Now, if I had Guardian Test 2 and Guardian Test 3, these boxes would also now be blue with a check. So I'm selecting all the kids online. When I hit that, this blue bar pops up at the bottom. And the first option is Open New Tab. So these were tabs that kids were using already today in class. I could click on one of them. Or I would say right now we need to go to Kahoot. And I pasted the URL in that bar and click Open Tab. And now you can see that my student is on Kahoot. But you know what? I just saw something else that was really cool. Google Classroom. Oh, I could click on that and then open it up for everyone. So if there was an activity that you had in your Google Classroom that everyone needed just to go to right now, then you could open it up for everyone. That's new. From last year, I didn't really do a lot with GoGuardian because I wasn't training people on it because of the COVID and the pandemic. So when I went to do this presentation, I saw that GoGuardian had been updated, and this is one of those updates. It's a good one. Questions? All right. And you can change the tiles if you wanted, the size. Okay, the next part, what I want to talk about is scenes. Scenes is an extra level of security. So right now, you've uploaded your kids into into GoGuardian, and you've started a session, which means you can see what they are doing at any point in time. Now, if you didn't want to worry about students going to other sites, then you can start creating scenes. So on that side panel under classrooms is the button that says scenes. And there are two types, one for allowed and one for blocked. And they're good for different reasons. I have created one that says all things Google. So if I want students to have access to anything in their Google Drive or in Google Classroom, but I don't want them doing anything else. Like they need to be working on their presentation, or they need to be writing, or they're collaborating on a group project and all the materials are in the Google world, then I can select that scene. So first I'm going to show you how I use it, and then I'll tell you how I created it. So I'm going to go back to Classroom, and I'm going to go back to my session that's in play right now. I can click here, or I can go up here and click. And under no scene applied, I'm going to change that to all things Google. Okay, it's been updated. And so I had some non-Google things on my tab, and I can't see them anymore. So I'm going to delete them. And I wish you could see exactly what was on my screen. I deleted everything that was not Google related. And now I'm good. So I'm going to click to expand this. Okay. Let's see if I did do Desmos. Yeah. This is the screen that kids will get if they reach your website that their teacher didn't want them to go to. And since this is not a Google site, it's not a Google app, it's not Google Classroom, then it's going to display this message. And so now I just went to my Google Classroom and things are working and they're great. So how do we do this? We can, this I created. So if you were looking in your scenes and you were thinking to yourself, I don't see the all things Google, it's because I created it. So I'm going to create a list. And then you name it. I'm just going to put this one Google. I'm going to kind of recreate the other one. And let's make this purple. I can change my color. I could do a description if I choose to, and then hit next. And then you see this. Whoa. There's a lot here. So let's just kind of talk about what we have. This box is for you to search specific websites. that you want your kids to go to and have access to. Once you do that, so I typed in desmos.com and I have some options. I'm going to hit add. Okay. That works for me. And then I'm going to delete. I can also go to quick lists. Quick list is interesting. These are lists made by GoGuardian. The one that I like is the G Suite. There are 24 different sites in it. It has the accounts, Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, has a bunch of different Google related websites. And so I like to go here and I click this one. Where is it? G Suite. Okay. And I add it to my scene. So right now, a student, if I allow this scene, if I apply it, students have access to their G Suite and Desmos, but nothing else. If they try to go to ESPN because fantasy football and they want to check something, they won't have access. If they want to go to YouTube, even if it's a video that the teacher has allowed, they won't have access because it's not in these categories. What I've noticed is that the G Suite list is not comprehensive. It doesn't have all of the G Suite items. It doesn't have sites and it doesn't have classroom. And so I created my own. And here is your quick lists. So I made one for Google Classroom and account page. And so I learned this today, that sites.google.com was not part of that Google 24. And so I'm going to put it in here and save. And I'm going to select it because I want to use it. And I'm going to update my scene. I wonder why these are still here. I don't want all of these. All right. So if I save this scene, students can go to the 24 websites that are in that established GoGuardian list. They have 3 other Google websites based on the one I created, my quick list, and Desmos. So I can save this. And then I can see it here. Okay, so I'm going to move over to blocked now. Right now, I just created everyday class. I'm going to delete this and start from the beginning. Let's create. And let's say I have one class in particular that is super into sports and they get sidetracked all the time. So I'm just going to call this one sports, and I'm going to pick red, and then I'm going to go to next. And I'm going to search. I can't remember some of the sporting websites, but I know one of them is ESPN. So let me click that and search. You know what? I'm just going to add all of these. All right. Boom. Okay. And then save. So now I can apply this for that one class that is constantly focused on fantasy football and anything to do with sports. Let's say this is my YouTube. I will keep it with another type of red. And I wanted to block all of YouTube. But I had one video that I wanted them to watch. I just don't want them to get sidetracked after the fact. So I didn't want any YouTube, but I wanted this one video. So I'm going to click Advanced Filtering. I'm going to paste that video here. I'm going to add. So your current blocked websites, I'm blocking all of YouTube. But I do want them to watch this. So I'm going to update scene. And then I have to save it. And so now, when I go to my classroom, and I go to my one that's in session, I will have to disable the scene that's applied at the moment because you can only have one scene at a time. And I'm going to select the YouTube one. So right now, students will not have access to YouTube. And so you can see that there. But if I can just go here, open new tab. Guess what? Everyone needs to go here. This is the video I want you to watch. And you can see it's loading right there. So I hope that made sense. All right, websites. So I am going to click and delete my Google because I like just my all things Google. And you can add to this. You can click on it and edit it at any time or rename it. So I can edit it and then add to it if I choose. What I like, this one right here, I can make Google Sites the auto open. And so if I save that and I go to Classrooms, and I change my scene, I'm going to disable it, and then go to All Things Google. It's automatically going to Google Sites because that's the one I wanted them to go to. So that auto open is a really nice feature. And then the other feature that's pretty cool is tab limit for students. I sometimes have up to 17, 18, 19, maybe even 20 tabs open. You can limit that for students. Right now I have only 5, which means I can only have 5 tabs. So if I try to open up more tabs, it won't let me. So I can close these. And you can see I have 1, or actually, yep, I have 3, 2, 3. And then some more are popping up. Google Classroom, I have a new tab. But even though I'm trying to open up more new tabs, it won't let me because I have a total of 5. Okay. I usually don't talk this much in one sitting. I'm going through my list. Okay, color, search for site, add websites, tab limit, additional filters. There's one that I think is pretty cool that I still want to add to. Let me do this. So right here, check if a website is blocked. I can click on this. So if there's a website that I want to see is blocked, I can click in here and check website. And it's saying that it's blocked in these classrooms automatically because of admin policy. And it's blocked in this scene because this scene is all things Google and it doesn't involve Discord. I could go to, let's see. Okay. So here, it's not blocked in any of the Google Classrooms because Desmos.com is allowed, but it is blocked in all things Google because this is not a Google. It's not part of that Google package. And again, ESPN is blocked not in the Google Classrooms because it's not blocked by the district, but I have personally blocked it in my sports scene and my all things Google. And I was checking Classroom. Nope, it's not blocked. Obviously, it's not blocked by administration, but I have not set up a scene that also blocks classroom.google.com. So it doesn't matter if I'm using a scene or not, all kids will be able to use this. So I thought that was really cool. And like if you have a lot of scenes and like I think one of these has a blocked website, you can double check in here and then make any adjustments if you need to. Let's say let's do this. Let's say I had the sports scene applied, which blocks everything about ESPN and fantasy football and all that sort of thing. And I did not end my session. And I didn't have a custom time. Maybe I made my custom time wrong, like AM instead of PM. So it's really going on for a long period of time. And this student right here goes to PE. And let's say weather was bad or really hot and they were inside and they were doing some research on a football team or something like that. If I did not end this session and I had the sports scene on, which blocked everything about football, there were about 6 sites that were blocked, and this student went into a class where they were supposed to do some research on a football team, this student would then be blocked and would not have access to those websites. So that's why it's really important to end a session, and it's really important to exclude kids if they're leaving a class to go to another person's class. So if this student was leaving to do something in a different class, you can then hit exclude student. I'm not going to do that because it's my only example up here. Or if the class is ending and the bell is rung and they're moving on to the next period, go up and hit end session. Oh, I'm going to go to my classes. Very nice. So I think that's the last thing I wanted to share.